Fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
1050 ESPN New York. The biggest names and the biggest...
Now on SportsCenter all night. The Ravens tag Lamar Jackson. But what does this mean for the two sides going forward?
If there's a team out there that's going to give them a 4 or 5 year deal, fully guaranteed, north of $50 million a year, and he wins.
The Jets take flight to California.
This morning, those group of Jets people got on Woody Johnson's private jet and they flew out west to California to meet in person with Aaron Rodgers.
Can the Lakers keep their playoff push going against the Grizzlies?
Clear into the French court, goes to Malik Beasley. Beasley dribbling, bounce pass AD, lay it up and in.
And more from an action-packed Tuesday night on the hardwood.
Now it's over to Butts. Butts turning around the spin. And the dunk. What an emphatic 2 points.
This is SportsCenter all night.
And if you don't think that collusion is a part of this league, and the league understands that we don't want to continue giving these guaranteed deals out, then you're absolutely out of your mind.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter all night. ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Do the Ravens really know what to expect for the quarterback market this offseason? That's straight ahead. But here we are, Champ Week, power conferences in the early rounds. While we have more conference tournaments being decided, like the highly anticipated Showdown Tuesday, a seemingly annual showdown in the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's and Gonzaga, again, top 2 seeds in the conference. Zags reaching the title game for 26 straight years. Regular season, they split the 2 meetings. In fact, Gonzaga's last loss was in overtime to St. Mary's. As for Tuesday's conference championship matchup, not nearly as close.
The Zags inbound. The Zags win 4 straight West Coast Conference Tournament championships. 21 overall. The Zags do it in dominating fashion. 77-51 the final score, and it wasn't as close as that.
Tom Hudson, Learfield, Gonzaga with the win, 24th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance after a 26-point margin of victory, largest ever in the conference tournament championship game. Drew Timme had 18 points and spoke with our Angel Gray.
We're wire to wire, complete domination from you guys. Probably the most complete game we've seen from you guys all season, but most importantly, it looked like you guys were having fun. Describe this moment right now.
It's a great feeling, man. Not bad for a 2 seed, you know. So, man, it's a great feeling. Man, I feel it's awesome, man. 4 for 4, so can't complain too much.
I know that you do not care about the scoring record with this program. You said you cared about the title. Now that you have both the tournament title and that, what's running through your mind about your career here and what it means to do this with this group of guys?
I can't even describe it. It's been a hell of a ride, but we got a lot more left to do, so no time to reminisce.
Drew Timme in the win, passing Frank Burgess for the most career points in Gonzaga history. West Coast Conference not the only blowout in a conference title game Tuesday. Take the Summit League.
And that does it. 92-58 the final. Oral Roberts is your undefeated Summit League tournament champions in 2023. Let's go dancing, fellas. Oral Roberts heading to the NCAA tournament with a record of 30-4. We'll see where they play in the coming week or so on Selection Sunday. But it was all Oral Roberts tonight in Sioux Falls.
99.9 FM ESPN. Oral Roberts wins it by 34, a game they led by 31 at the half. Filling out your brackets within the next week or so, ESPN analysts Steve Wojciechowski and Tom Crean.
They're the real deal. They've done everything they're supposed to do. They played the schedule. Their only losses have been to quad one opponents on the road. And that's amazing what they've done.
They are the real deal. They have a high major backcourt in A-Smith and McBride. They have an elite rim protector in Vanover. I mean, this is a complete basketball team. They can do some damage in March.
No one's going to want to see them pop up on the bracket. There's not one coach in the country who's going to want to see that.
For Oral Roberts' 7th NCAA tournament appearance, second in the last 3 seasons. Also decided Tuesday, the Horizon.
Horn sound, game over. NKU is NCAA tournament bound for the fourth time in the school's history. They do it as the number 4 seed here in 2023 in Indianapolis, and they will go dancing with the NCAA tournament for the fourth time in this program's 11 years in Division I.
Northern Kentucky 63-61 win over Cleveland State, ESPN 1530. Northern Kentucky outscoring Cleveland State 21-7 off turnovers. The Colonial Championship goes to Charleston. They finish on an 18-5 run over the final 6 minutes, beat UNC Wilmington 63-58. Second time they've won the Colonial since joining the conference in 2013. 31 wins overall this season, most in D1. And in the Northeast Conference, Merrimack wins the conference title. They beat Fairleigh Dickinson, but Merrimack is in its probationary state for moving to D1 still. So Fairleigh Dickinson gets the automatic bid from the conference despite losing the title game. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Ravens have placed the non-exclusive tag on quarterback Lamar Jackson.
This is more than just about money. The relationship between the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson isn't a relationship that is in a good place.
They're saying, all right, we can't find compromise, so you go ahead and see if that deal's out there. And if it is, and you come back to us, maybe we'll match it. Maybe we'll say, you were right, we were wrong, and come back to us and everything will be fine.
Tuesday was deadline day in the NFL. Significant decisions made, and while none of the decisions were absolutely stunners, still safe to say that we may be shaking our head collectively over some of the situations and how they got to where they are. In Baltimore, Ravens and Lamar Jackson had been talking for a long time about a new contract. They couldn't come to a deal in the past 2 years, and they didn't get one done on Tuesday either. As a result, Ravens use the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, and it's the non-exclusive tag. Means he's free to check with other teams. Baltimore essentially saying, go ahead, see what the market has out there for you. ESPN Ravens reporter Jamison Hemsley.
I think the Ravens feel by putting the non-exclusive tag on him, one, that they feel either their last offer is the best offer Lamar Jackson's going to get, or two, they're willing to match any offer out there for Lamar Jackson. And maybe the third option from all of this is, yes, if a team is willing to sign Lamar Jackson to an offer sheet, it's probably going to take more than 2 first-round picks. And under the non-exclusive tag, if the Ravens refuse to match the offer, all they would get would be 2 first-round picks as compensation. I don't think the Ravens would accept that as fair compensation for Lamar Jackson.
And the elephant that's been quietly sitting in the corner of the room is the notion that the other option as to why the Ravens have gone the route of the non-exclusive tag is they know what kind of market Lamar Jackson will find out there. ESPN analyst Ryan Clark.
Let's be clear. The NFLPA, I was part of the executive committee. They've sued the NFL for collusion before, and that was in the uncapped year. And if you believe that all these teams and executives and owners aren't upset with the deal that Deshaun Watson got in Cleveland, then you've absolutely lost your mind. And when Adam says that the team or that Baltimore has an idea of what the market could be, we know the combine is less about those dudes on the field and more about the conversations going on between traders and between free agents and having those conversations. And if you don't think that collusion is a part of this league and the league understands that we don't want to continue giving these guaranteed deals out, then you're absolutely out of your mind. And so for Lamar Jackson to hit the open market like this, I believe the Baltimore Ravens think that there is a strong possibility he will not get that fully guaranteed contract. It almost feels like go ahead, go out on them streets and see how hot those streets aren't for you, Lamar Jackson, and then come running back to us.
Well, RC makes a great point, and I was in the league before RC, and we'll date myself, but this has always been the posture of owners in the National Football League. We do not do like these other leagues, baseball, basketball, whatever it may be. We don't give guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed contracts. And when you think about the situation, the Cleveland Browns decided to do that. And now any player in the National Football League is hoping another guy will get a contract like this, right? And the owners don't want this to happen. Yep. This is the last thing they want to happen. Guaranteed players, full salary.
ESPN analyst Herm Edwards. setting aside the collusion idea for a moment, where could Lamar Jackson find some interest? ESPN insider Adam Schefter.
The New Orleans Saints this week signed Derek Carr. It's not going to be them. Diana Rossini reported today the Atlanta Falcons are not expected to pursue Lamar Jackson. And a short time ago, the Charlotte Observer said that the Panthers are not expected to pursue Lamar Jackson. So already we're seeing a select few teams, if that, be available or be interested in Lamar Jackson when he is available. The team that does scream and make the most sense to me would be Washington, but there's been no indication that they're prepared to go in that direction as of now. So who would be? And again, last year, Deshaun Watson had multiple teams courting him. It's harder this year to identify the teams that are going to make that kind of push for Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson getting franchise tagged on Tuesday. The other high-profile game of Tag Tuesday was in New York. And when the deadline hit, the Giants had a deal with Daniel Jones, their quarterback, and used the non-exclusive tag on running back Saquon Barkley. ESPN Giants reporter Jordan Runnon.
I think this is almost kind of like a placeholder. Here's the thing. In a perfect world, I think the Giants would love to use the franchise tag on Saquon Barkley, $10.1 million. You're basically renting a running back for another year. His sixth year in the NFL. But if you're Saquon Barkley, that's your worst nightmare, right? Because you're a running back and you're entering your sixth year in the NFL. And the last thing you want is no security. So I do think, and I've heard that they are not that far off numbers-wise. So I do think that a long-term deal is likely within the next, free agency in a week, I guess, right? So in the next week, I would not be surprised to see a long-term deal done between the two parties.
Barkley gets the non-exclusive tag, which is worth just over $10 million. As for Daniel Jones, 4-year deal, which includes $82 million in guarantees. And then there's the Jets. New York ramping up the push for Aaron Rodgers. ESPN's Diana Rossini.
I was told there is nothing that's going to happen over the next 24 hours, that Aaron Rodgers is going to take some time here, which we've seen him do in the past when he tries to come up with a decision that he's going to make on his future. So the big step has been made, which is the Green Bay Packers have given the New York Jets permission to have the conversation with their quarterback. So that tells you a lot about where this Green Bay Packers team stands in terms of Aaron Rodgers. Now, that being said, this morning, those group of Jets people got on Woody Johnson's private jet and they flew out west to California to meet in person with Aaron Rodgers to explain what they're about, to explain what they have to offer him. And I was told there has been some conversations between the Jets and the Packers about compensation if a trade were to happen. We're not there just yet from what I understand, but obviously everything is starting to point in that direction as of now.
Jets have been trying to find a solution at quarterback. And earlier on ESPN Radio, Albert Breer from the MMQB says the brain trust that hit the road this week isn't doing it to send out feelers.
You put the owner on the plane, you put the team president on the plane, you put the head coach, the GM, the offensive coordinator on the plane. You're not doing that because you're hoping he'll listen. You're doing that because you're hoping to walk away with some sort of resolution. And they have to.
Private jet, and they flew out west to California to meet in person with Aaron Rodgers to explain what they're about, to explain what they have to offer him. And I was told there has been some conversations between the Jets and the Packers about compensation if a trade were to happen. We're not there just yet from what I understand, but obviously everything is starting to point in that direction as of now.
Jets have been trying to find a solution at quarterback. And earlier on ESPN Radio, Albert Breer from the MMQB says the brain trust that hit the road this week isn't doing it to send out feelers.
You put the owner on the plane, you put the team president on the plane, you put the head coach, the GM, the offensive coordinator on the plane. You're not doing that because you're hoping he'll listen. You're doing that because you're hoping to walk away with some sort of resolution. And they have to feel good about where they are, both when it comes to the trade comp and being able to do a contract. And, a lot of this is going to come down to what Aaron wants to do, and I think that's sort of where it's been for a while. And if you're trying to sell Aaron Rodgers on coming to New York, I think you probably feel like a lot of the other pieces are in place. Financials, the trade, all that are in place. So, I think the Jets are willing to do what it takes to get Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, not on a franchise tag. Of course, he's under contract with the Packers, so it would be a trade scenario for any team like the Jets who want to bring him in. They were a double-digit favorite, but this is why they play the games. That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, the Celtics continue to lose games after having double-digit leads. Is it time to start sounding the alarm? I'll give you my answer. Keyshawn, J-Will, and Max, Wednesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
This is SportsCenter All Night.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center in Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Michelob Ultra, Bud White Seltzer, and Pizza Hut.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. We have the pads, rotors, drums, shoes, and brake fluids to improve your stopping power. Right now, save 15% when you get any 2 Duralast rotors with a set of Duralast brake pads. Missing a tool? Ask about our free Loan-A-Tool program and borrow the tools you need to get the job done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the MPD Group 2021. Deposit required for Loan-A-Tool.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means, wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Mason and Ireland, the OGs of LA Sports Radio.
Mason, Ireland.
Yeah, you and I have joked about this for years. Are we sure Mason is the gay one? Hashtag Broadway John from Joel. Mason's always said if you describe what they're both into, you would automatically assume John's gay and not Mason.
That's true.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
If you knew nothing other than, okay, listen to Mason Ireland. It's a really good show. One of those guys is gay, and people have been listening since 12:55.
Yeah.
You got no shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fit the mold that I'm a sloppy stoner. I mean, come on.
I fit the mold better than you.
Yes, you do. You fit the suit. Yeah, you're more proper. You're well groomed. Everything is
I
perfect.
shave every day.
Shave every day. All that stuff.
Mason and Ireland. Monday at 1 p.m. after Travis Lee on LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
You are never too old for a family. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is dedicated to finding forever families for children who have been waiting in foster care the longest. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning on LA's mega sports station. LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Heck of a technical foul we saw Tuesday. That's straight ahead. Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio. But amidst all the madness of March, there's the NBA and the Knicks, who were in the midst of a 9-game win streak hosting Charlotte. Knicks went into the game as a 10-point favorite.
The Knicks starting five defensively did not play well, and the Hornets have guys who can score in Rozier, in Hayward, in Oubre, who, by the way, took a little bow at center court, waving to the Knicks crowd, bye-bye. And that's waving bye-bye to a 9-game winning streak.
3 seconds to go, and that's going to do it at the guard. The Knicks' 9-game win streak comes to a close tonight. The final score, the Hornets with their 21st win, 112-105, here against the Knicks at the world's most famous arena.
98.7 ESPN New York. Knicks had the 9-game win streak snapped, had been the longest active streak in the NBA. They are now 3-3 this season without Jalen Brunson. Their third loss this season when leading by at least 16 as they fall to the Hornets at home despite being a 10-point favorite in the game. So the Knicks had their 9-game win streak snapped. Thunder snapping an 8-game losing streak against the Warriors. 8 straight losses against Golden State dating back to 2019, but they get the win on Tuesday. But in the loss, Golden State's Jordan Poole picking up a tee.
Joe backs up, feeds Jalen Williams. Stolen. Poole with a steal and a whistle and a foul. A technical foul on Jordan Poole.
Yeah, he didn't throw the ball at Josh Tiven so much as got it back pretty quickly. A little too quickly for Josh's liking.
Called the foul, turned, flicked the ball to the official. Nice bounce pass. Bounce pass style, but still in frustration and a little too quick. 95-7 the game. Thunder beat the Warriors 137-128 as they get the win. Steph Curry in the loss, 40 points and 10 3-pointers. 19th game of his career with 40 points and 10 3-pointers. Longest losing streak in the NBA, well, that belongs to Detroit.
Bradley Beal in the center circle. Tie ball game. 11 seconds. Beal right of the circle. Beal still on the dribble. 5 seconds. Beal rocking the cradle. Drives, right block. Flips up the shot. No. Followed by Gafford. Is good. Is good. Gafford the follow. 119-117 at the buzzer. Daniel Gafford. Surprise.
And that's how the game would end. The team 980, Wizards a 119-117 win after the Daniel Gafford shot at the buzzer. Pistons 9-game losing streak. The NBA's longest active streak, Detroit's longest since a 14-game losing streak last season. Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio. The Sixers on the road at Minnesota.
Maxey to Joel. How about another one? That's in the air, and that's good. Look at that one, too. A 3 by Embiid. Timeout, Minnesota. Maxey with it, and Embiid does a little whirling Tiger Woods after a big putt deal.
97-5, the Fanatics. Sixers, a 117-94 win over the Timberwolves. 39 points for Joel Embiid. Another big night. His 36th game with 30 points or more. He spoke with TNT.
Can you just describe to me the groove that you're in right now?
I'm trying to do whatever it takes to win games. Obviously, last night we had basically a track meet with Indiana with how fast they played. And tonight, without James, just want to be as aggressive as possible to make sure we got the win. And we played really good defense, and offensively we moved the ball, and we made a lot of shots.
When you're going up against a guy who's known as a defensive specialist, in Rudy Gobert, what does that do for somebody like you? Does that motivate you anymore?
It doesn't necessarily motivate me, but it's the same thing with every big in the league. It doesn't matter who I play. just feel like, I'm going to do my thing regardless. I'm going to dominate. There's no disrespect to, any of them. But, MVP's Defensive Player of the Year, that doesn't, mean anything to me. I'm still going to be the best player on the floor.
That's a nice segue to my question that that's coming, Joel. There's a heated debate out there about who's the front runner for the MVP award. So I want your unbiased opinion. Who do you feel is the favorite and the front runner right now?
I don't know. That's not for me to answer. I feel like, obviously being in the run in the last 2 years, has been whatever. And, this year, I've taken a different approach. Just trying to focus on the right things, win games, dominate, which I've been doing. And whatever happens, happens. Obviously, we would have loved to, win one. That's the best award anyone can get. So, but like I said, I'm just focused on making sure, first of all, staying healthy, winning games, and dominating. But I'm excited about the playoffs. That's where, I feel like, I feel good. I feel good about myself and my team. So I just want to make sure that, all of us, we get there healthy and, we do what we got to do.
Joel Embiid, after the Sixers win over the Timberwolves, he had 39 points, scored 22 of the 39 in the third quarter, his 10th quarter this season with at least 20 points. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. To the ice, Avs a 6-0 shutout of the Sharks, second largest shutout win this season. They beat Ottawa by 7 back in January. Kraken a 5-2 win over the Ducks for a 5-game win streak. They're 2 points behind Vegas and LA for the Pacific Division lead. Penguins and Blue Jackets, what a game. Columbus had a 4-0 lead midway in the second, but the Penguins battled back and went to overtime.
Malkin's got it at the right point. Into the high slot with it. Across Crosby. One-timer. Scores! The captain completes the comeback. And Pittsburgh, from down 4-0, wins it 5-4 in overtime.
Penguins Hockey Network, Sidney Crosby, 28th goal, wins it in OT. Also had 2 assists, 48 on the year's 20th overtime goal. Wins it. We had a jersey retired, and the crowd was chanting another name. That's next. SportsCenter all night at ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and there couldn't possibly be more going on. The quarterbacks have started to move in NFL free agency. The carousel is spinning, plus the NBA is in its stretch run. We're the place to talk about it all. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, One More Paddle, and Celsius.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish. Sounds easy. It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Transitioning out of the military, it's difficult. Just about everything around you changes. I would get phone calls that brothers were dying, some of them to suicide. And I'd found myself in another cold cemetery. And I started to wonder if I was next. It's a struggle to know that you're facing challenges, but not be ready to face them. Sleep doesn't come easy. And when it comes, it doesn't last long. You're tired all the time. I didn't reach out for that help, but thank God my wife did. She got me registered for Wounded Warrior Project, talking to somebody that would listen to me and understood my story. Helped me realize that it was time to change. There's a new fight. There's a new mission, and that's something I'm eternally grateful for.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
I spent a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain and mud. In 95, I helped tow your moving trailer. And in 09, it was sparks from me, your chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max in the morning.
LA Sports Talk all day long. 710 ESPN. Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $700 on average. Call or click today. Find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
Knicks' 9-game win streak comes to an end. Gonzaga captures the West Coast Conference tournament title again, rolling over St. Mary's on Tuesday. Franchise tags on Tuesday for Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson.
Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Ravens have placed the non-exclusive tag on quarterback Lamar Jackson.
This is more than just about money. The relationship between the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson isn't a relationship that is in a good place.
They're saying, all right, we can't find compromise, so you go ahead and see if that deal's out there. And if it is, and you come back to us, maybe we'll match it. Maybe we'll say, you were right, we were wrong, and come back to us and everything will be fine.
Lamar Jackson and the Ravens unable to come to terms on a deal by Tuesday afternoon's deadline. So the Ravens use the non-exclusive tag, which allows him to see what other teams will offer him. But who are those other teams? ESPN's Diana Rossini.
Let's address what really is the majority right now, which are teams not interested in Lamar Jackson. And look, all the teams have different reasons from what I can gather. For the Falcons, that just seems to be their plan. The guaranteed money that Lamar Jackson is looking for seems to be a similar reason as to why some teams are not stepping in on this one, knowing that Jackson wants that same type of contract that we saw Deshaun Watson get paid by the Cleveland Browns. So that seems to be the number one reason. That being said, there's also some concerns about durability. We know that he's dealt with some injuries. So really, Al, all the reasons that we saw the Ravens perhaps have some hesitation is also some of the hesitation that other teams around the league are having. That all being said, it is only early March, right? So maybe teams are saying they're not in on it. But we know, guys, we talk about it all the time. Things change all the time. So right now it looks like this big, long list of teams that are not in, but that could possibly change.
Jackson and the Ravens, of course, were at it for a couple of years. But once Deshaun Watson landed his fully guaranteed deal with Cleveland, Jackson and the Ravens just couldn't close their gap in negotiations. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Ryan Clark.
Everything pointed to these two sides being so far away in what they considered a fair deal for each of them that they were going to let the rest of the NFL do the negotiating for them. This is something that doesn't happen. You don't have a guy like Lamar Jackson that has won as many games as he has at the quarterback position, or that is a league MVP in only his second year, considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. Those guys don't get non-exclusive tags because you don't want them to have the opportunity to leave you. And so this says to me that this is more than just about money between these two sides, that the relationship between the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson isn't a relationship that is in a good place. And so the Baltimore Ravens believe that it is best for them to allow Lamar Jackson to seek numbers elsewhere and then have the ability to match if they want to.
And this is a situation, essentially, where Lamar now gets the freedom that he wanted, right? He gets to talk to all the teams. And if there is a team out there that's willing to give him a fully guaranteed contract, he now will have the option to find out. 1 year ago, we saw Deshaun Watson step out and be courted with everything going on in his life by the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the Cleveland Browns. Well, Lamar Jackson now gets to go out and talk to whichever teams want to structure an offer sheet. Baltimore thought this through. Baltimore knows that it will, first of all, have the chance to sign and match any offer sheet that he signs. That's number one. Number two, I think they probably have an idea of what he may or may not get on the open market. So they don't just all of a sudden wait for the deadline and randomly and blindly put on the non-exclusive tag. The market now is the mediator here to determine exactly what Lamar Jackson is worth. He believes he's worth a fully guaranteed deal. He now has the ability to step into the market to see what the market will dictate. If there's a team out there that's going to give him a 4 or 5 year deal, fully guaranteed, north of $50 million a year, then he wins big time.
Lamar Jackson getting the non-exclusive franchise tag. And as Adam Schefter indicated, maybe the Ravens use the non-exclusive tag because they have a feeling about what the market will be. And that notion has certainly raised some flags with some folks who preemptively claiming collusion, perhaps in the NFL. In New York, running back Saquon Barkley gets the non-exclusive tag because the Giants have come to terms with quarterback Daniel Jones on a 4-year deal. Albert Breer from the MMQB earlier on ESPN Radio.
Those two guys are beloved in that locker room and within that organization. And those two guys were, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, they're probably the two biggest symbols of the impact that Brian Daboll and his staff and Joe Shane and his scouting staff had there, right?
Right.
And so, I think in a way it's sort of a sign to the locker room, to the players who are there, the players who might consider going there. If you do the right things, you follow what we're telling you to do, A, you're going to get results, and everybody saw the results that Jones and Barkley got, and B, you're going to get paid. And so does this mean Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones are on the team in 2025? No. But, I think it pretty much says that they're good for the next couple of years. And, I think that they've become sort of symbols of what Brian Daboll and his program can do. So I think it's good to reward guys for that. Did they overpay a little bit? Maybe.
There's an expectation that Saquon Barkley will be able to reach a deal in New York as well. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of New York, the Jets are talking with the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, and a contingent of officials from the Jets, including team owner Woody Johnson, general manager Joe Douglas, coach Robert Saleh, offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett, all flying to California Tuesday to meet with Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has skills, but is New York a fit for him? To the guys at PTI, Pablo Torre with Tony Kornheiser.
If the Jets want Aaron Rodgers, and it seems they do, they have the money and they have the means to do so. The larger question is, does Aaron Rodgers want the Jets? Okay, does Aaron Rodgers want to lead a sheltered environment in terms of media and criticism that when he does idiosyncratic things, people in Green Bay don't care about it one way or the other, and then go to New York where every single thing he says and does will be analyzed and overanalyzed to an incredible degree. Now, it's tantalizing for this reason, as you well know. If he hits big in New York, if he wins a Super Bowl, it's the moon. But the other question is, he's 39 years old. He had a bad year. What does he have left? Brett Favre tried this. It did not work.
Tony, those concerns about performance are not concerns to the Jets right now, and you know this. The Jets will take whatever you got. Aaron Rodgers, whatever you got left, it is caviar to the lips of the Jets, who have just hired Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator, who have given all the permission to get the Holy Ghost out of the way and consummate this relationship. And the question is truly, does Aaron Rodgers like the idea of being this sort of a character underneath a spotlight that, to your point, again, is cruel, will get under the skin by intention, not by accident, but by intention. And I don't believe he wants that. We'll see if the bluff gets called. This is the bluff that he has been taking.
How thin and how thick is Aaron Rodgers' skin? Because I'll tell you this, I grew up in that city. So if he thinks he's going to just release stuff through Pat McAfee, he's going to get torched in New York.
Would be a change of scenery for Aaron Rodgers. Meanwhile, back in Green Bay, is Aaron Rodgers' time done either way? ESPN's Adam Schefter.
What I think is looking more and more clear is him playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers in 2023 looks increasingly unlikely. Jordan Love looks more and more like he's going to be playing quarterback for the Green Bay Packers no matter what Aaron Rodgers decides. It seems to be and feels like it's moving in that direction.
And if that's the case, Ryan Clark says, trust it.
The Green Bay Packers are tired of being held hostage every offseason. The Green Bay Packers actually have a contingency plan, which they drafted 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Aaron Rodgers had his down year. So you have been planning for this, and aside from Aaron Rodgers' play, his behavior has shown you that you were right to plan for this. And finally, you got the football year that says, yes, I was right to plan for this. So you had the plan in place. Don't go back on it because you're scared he may reappear as the great Aaron Rodgers somewhere else because you've been planning for this.
And now the Jets, perhaps even more interested in California, talking with Aaron Rodgers. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Memphis Grizzlies announced today that Ja Morant will be away from the team for at least the next 2 games.
He has made 3 bad choices in a span of less than a year, and eventually you're going to run out of chances in this league. They basically one more chance, offer one more thing, and you're going to be out of this league. I mean, that's the reality of it here. Over the next 6 games, Memphis struggles during that stretch. They can easily find themselves down 3rd in the Western Conference. What things have changed for Morant when he came into this league to kind of where he is right now?
Ja Morant still away from the Grizzlies, and it's a situation that's continuing to be sorted out NBA-wise as well as with the authorities. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne.
There's 2 investigations. The Colorado police are investigating based off of the video that went viral. So there was no complaint to police the night of the incident, but because of the video that went viral, the Colorado police told me yesterday that they were investigating to see whether any laws were broken. Now, Colorado is an open carry state, but it is illegal to be in possession of a firearm if somebody is under the influence of alcohol. Now, from what I understand, it's going to be difficult to prove here because there was no incident report the night of, right? So there would be no police who had investigated while the incident took place. Now, the NBA investigation is a different matter. The NBA investigation can take as long as they want, and this is pretty clear here. The NBA collective bargaining agreement says that you're not allowed to, the player is forbidden from possessing a firearm while on NBA team premises or while traveling with a team. And so the investigation will look at things like, A, is that a firearm in his hand? B, how did he get it? Was this brought on any team premises along the way? And that they can take as long as they want for that. So even though the Grizzlies have said this will take at least 2 games, the NBA can be on its own timeline. This is really in Adam Silver's spot here, where he can decide, depending on what the investigation finds, he has pretty much carte blanche on how he punishes Ja Morant in this situation, if indeed the investigation does find some wrongdoing. The only precedent that comes to mind and that is really relevant in this case is Gilbert Arenas back in 2010. That was obviously very different circumstances and a very different case. was also David Stern was the commissioner back then, and Gilbert Arenas was given an indefinite suspension after he brought weapons to the Wizards locker room.
John Morant still away from the Grizzlies at this point, and without Morant, Grizzlies falling in L.A. to the Lakers 112-103. Anthony Davis, 30 points, 22 rebounds. First Lakers player with multiple 30-point, 20-rebound games in a season since 2003 with Shaq in his finals Lakers season. Lakers finishing the game on a 15-5 run over the last 5 minutes. Grizzlies suffering their third straight loss, third losing streak of at least 3 games in 2023. Lakers get the win, and they also retire Pau Gasol's number 16.
I can't go on without talking about the person in the face that I don't see. The brother that elevated me, inspired me, challenged me to be a better player, just to be a better man overall. I miss him so much, like many of us do. I love him. I wish he was here with Gigi. I really do. But I think he'll be proud, and he was looking forward to this moment. So, I love you, brother.
Emotional night for Pau Gasol. Thinking back on Kobe Bryant, Gasol spent 7 seasons with the Lakers, averaging nearly 18 points and 10 rebounds per game. In Dallas, Mavs hosting the Jazz.
Irving cradling it, pocket pass off the hands of Cleveland, makes the save. Behind him to Luka, fakes the shot, kicking right corner. Holiday open for 3, hits it. The 19th 3 for the Mavericks tonight in 43 attempts.
Chuck Cooperstein, 97 won the Freak Mavs, a 120-116 win over the Jazz. Kyrie Irving, 33 points in the win, including the clutch time points.
It's winning time, really. I've been saying over my career, that fourth quarter, specifically at my age now, I just feel like, it's the difference between winning ball games and losing them. And the last few games have been really close, and we haven't closed out as well as we would have liked. I haven't closed out as well as I would have liked, and it's putting a lot of pressure on myself. And now we just settle into what's in front of us and controlling what we can control. And tonight, it could have gone either way against a shorthanded Jazz team, and you saw that in the effort that we had to come out with in the second half warranted us to play a little bit harder.
Kyrie averaging 27.5 points per game through his first 10 games with Dallas. Bucks, a 134-123 win over the Magic. They've won 18 of their last 19. How memorable could this quarterback class be? That's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, the Giants and Daniel Jones agreed to a long-term contract, but will they regret that decision in the long run? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, Wednesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU. More Sports Center all night. Next.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center in Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Pop-A-Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more. And of course, special thanks to Johnsonville, Hoffy, and Zico Coconut Water.
Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans, it's a story that rings true. We learn to endure the heat in silence. We apply what we learn to life. The bills, the job, the family, things we're expected to handle with ease. When life heats up around us, we just try to stay afloat. We let the water boil. Reaching out isn't easy, but you've never been interested in easy. You join because you are not afraid of hard work. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait until the water boils. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh, in the jungle, the quiet jungle, the sheep sleep tonight. Oh,
It just isn't the same without the lion. Join the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance today. Visit sdzwa.org.
Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Help us fight youth homelessness. Go to covenanthouse.org.
Every second counts in a poison emergency. That's why Poison Help is standing by 24/7 to provide free assistance in over 100 languages. Save Poison Help as a contact in your phone today. Poison Help, 1-800-222-1222.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to TJ and Max, 6 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. Sports Center All Night, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Bryce Young has a chance to be a superstar.
He should be wearing a cape on the field with the things that he's able to do.
I think Bryce Young's accuracy, anticipation, and arm strength is rare and special.
I think he's a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes.
Manufactured weight to get to 204, but what are you going to be in November of 2023 when you're playing in the NFL?
I'm confident in myself. I know what I can do, and, I'm just excited to get to that next level.
There's been a lot of talk about what conversations owners may have had among themselves at the Combine last weekend, but we're also heading towards the draft, and the focus will be on the players who will be playing on Sunday next season. Bryce Young, concerns or not, is in a class that ESPN's Mel Kiper says may be talked about for years.
I think there's got to be movement. These quarterbacks are so close. You're really splitting hairs. Bryce Young is an outlier. I had to go back to the 1982 draft with Jim McMahon to find somebody that was similar, in terms of size. Jim McMahon was about 6'1.5", 190, maybe 192 in that area, 195 tops. Somebody at 185. So Jim McMahon, taller, but didn't have the weight, but he became a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's 1982, okay? Nobody since then. People say, well, Kyler Murray was 207. Kyler Murray was thick, and Kyler Murray held that weight. That's the thing with Bryce Young. Can he maintain that weight throughout the year? So, you're after him, you're looking at C.J. Stroud probably as the safest one. He was at nearly 70% completion percentage over the last 2 years. He was phenomenal at the Combine. He had a great game against Georgia. If you could bottle that performance against Georgia and carry that into the NFL, where he didn't fold up like a tent in some games in the pocket over the last 2 years, and you got something. And I think Will Levis, this year I throw it out. He was hurt all year. 2021, he was outstanding. So I think you're really looking at a Eli, Rivers, Roethlisberger scenario where I hope all these guys are really good.
Jim McMahon did a shuffle. Will teams be doing a shuffle in the draft order to get some of these quarterbacks? Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio. Let's say hello now to Mark Robbins and Tuesday's Top Sounds.
Number 3.
Hello there, Jay. We're going to start the NBA. The Sixers, Joel Embiid, putting up points from way outside. 97.5, the Fanatic.
Maxey to Joel. How about another one? That's in the air, and that's good. Look at that one, too. A three by Embiid. Timeout, Minnesota. Maxey with it, and Embiid does a little whirling Tiger Woods after a big putt deal.
Number 2.
In another NBA matchup, Washington's Daniel Gafford gets all clutch against Detroit. The team, 980.
Bradley Beal in the center circle. Tie ball game. 11 seconds. Beal right of the circle. Beal still on the dribble. 5 seconds. Beal rocking the cradle.
tries, right block, flips up the shot, no, followed by Gafford, is good, Gafford, the follow, 119-117 at the buzzer, Daniel Gafford, surprise.
Number 1.
Finally on the ice, Sid the Kid coming through at the finish for Pittsburgh. Call on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Malkin's got it at the right point. Into the high slot with it. Across Crosby. One-timer. Scores! The captain completes the comeback. And Pittsburgh, from down 4-0, wins it 5-4 in overtime.
Tied for the largest comeback in the NHL this season. Penguins remain in wildcard position in the Eastern Conference. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. ACC tournament continues today in Greensboro, and we have double header action here on ESPN Radio. Boston College, North Carolina, followed by Virginia Tech and NC State. Coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Boston College advancing yesterday, beating Louisville by 18. Va Tech gets past Notre Dame in the opening round with the Irish loss. It ends Mike Bray's coaching tenure.
Been unbelievably honored. 23 years. I've been able to be the coach at Notre Dame. It's been a flat-out honor. My bosses are here tonight, Father John and Jack Swarbrick. They've been amazingly supportive. And, even though this year, didn't go well, I'm proud of how we've run the program. And I think we are going to get a heck of a coach. And I'm going to help our administration recruit the next guy. But
Mike Bray, also realizing his coaching tenure was done with the loss, took the opportunity to rip the officiating down the stretch, figured he was no longer in the conference. Will Aaron Rodgers no longer be in Green Bay? Members of the Jets leadership flying to California yesterday to speak with him, see if they can pull off a trade. ESPN's Dan Graziano.
I think it's important for everybody to understand it's one possible outcome. Rodgers, as you mentioned, has not made any announcements about what his plans are this year. He could still retire. He could still decide to stay in Green Bay. But it seems like he wants to explore all possible options, and a trade, in this case to New York, would be one of those. So it makes sense that there would be some phone calls and some fact-finding before a deal was done. So obviously developing story, as you say, worth keeping an eye on, but some wheels in motion with regard to a potential conclusion to the Aaron Rodgers story, at least for this offseason.
With Rodgers still under contract with the Packers, the Jets would, of course, have received permission from Green Bay in order to chat with Aaron Rodgers. That's going to do it for SportsCenter all night. I'm Jay Reynolds. It's March 8th, International Women's Day. And we're celebrating this morning. Among the guests this morning, Olympic gold medalist and 4-time World Cup overall champ Lindsey Vonn. She's here 9:30 Eastern this morning with KJ and Max. They're next. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio.
Join us for our inaugural Pickleball Madness Tournament on Saturday, March 18th at the Agape Pickleball Center at Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. The event is open to the public. Come press the flesh with the 710 team and watch them dink and lob all over the court. Bring the entire family and enjoy all the festivities starting at 10 a.m. We'll have TVs to watch the college basketball game, Papa Shot competitions, pickleball demos, complimentary food, a beer garden, a kid zone, giveaways, and more.
Special thanks to our partners, Solo All-Electric Car, Stretch Labs, and Islands Restaurants.
Tens of thousands affected by the toxic water at Camp Lejeune are left with death, cancer, Parkinson's, dementia, birth defects, and other serious illnesses. And along with the harm, so many worries.
My family drank the Camp Lejeune water. What if our health gets worse and we need more financial help?
How do I protect my VA benefits and get the compensation I deserve and need?
The answer is simple. Call James Harris Law, the experienced, trusted law firm that can get you significant compensation while protecting all your VA benefits. We're already fighting for hundreds of Marines, families, and civilians who drank Camp Lejeune water. But if you miss the deadline, you could forever lose your right to the justice you deserve. So call our Camp Lejeune legal helpline now. Now may be your last chance to receive full compensation. Don't delay. Call 800-304-3399. 800-304-3399. 800-304-3399.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving.
Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Tom and Levi.
Tom is the smartest man I know. He's been a professor at 2 major universities, been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, he told me that he was having problems in his classes. I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. And he was telling them that he was doing it as a favor to them, but I think in reality he just wanted to get out of there. I was really starting to worry because I saw something was wrong.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me, and my love for him was just immense.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The fun way to drive home is with Sedano and Cat.
Whatever. Are you just jealous that nobody's naming anything after you?
Not my high school football field, not the practice field, not even the urinal in the boys' locker room.
I know.
It's all about the San Antonio Brahmas at the Seattle Sea Dragons at 10 p.m. Then on Sunday, the Arlington Renegades take on the St. Louis Battlehawks at 4 p.m. on ESPN2. And the Vegas Vipers face the DC Defenders at 7 p.m. Catch every XFL game on ESPN+. Bring it in.
Jackson sets in the pistol.
You really just gotta keep playing your game.
Jackson will keep it on the read option.
I'm just trying to be like myself.
Spins at the 30.
I just want to get to the promised land.
Keyshawn, J. Willimax, ESPN Radio. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Good morning, guys.
Keyshawn, J. Willimax.
Yes.
Why do you do that voice? Yes, Keyshawn, J. Willimax. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Yeah. How you guys doing this morning? I'm in New York City near the bridge. Yes, I'm interviewing on the 6 o'clock news.
Do I sound like that? I've never sounded like that a day in my life.
Yes, you do. Holding the microphone like that's why Jay said that. Keyshawn, J. Willimax. Yes.
If I sounded like that, boy, I'd be.
How you sound.
That's how you sound. Working with you two, I'd be in the big time.
You know what's interesting? You know, it's like when people I always found like people back in the day, like, oh God, that's a really bad picture. I'm like, no, that's what your face looks like.
By the way, that's right. Well, if you look
not
at
really.
pictures, you never look good.
Jay, that's not true. Because I've gone into people's homes. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, who is that? Oh, that's me. That's me. Wait. When was that? You know, you be like, you know what I'm saying, Max? It's like, oh, that's Max Kellerman. It looks like Greenberg. What did you? How old were you there? It's the avocado salad. How old were?
There are some people I would say who are photogenic, like legitimately.
No, Max, you don't get it.
You want to be photogenic.
Max, I don't think you get it.
No, I get it. I'm saying I don't think it's good to be photogenic.
You don't think
it's photogenic? Then what that means is you're not that good. Like you look better in pictures. I think you'd rather look better in real life than better in pictures. So someone says they're not photogenic. They're saying they're better looking.
This is the question of the day. Would you rather look better in your pictures? Mm-hmm. Because now everybody posts their pictures online. I mean, you got like 9,000 profiles.
Yeah.
Or would you rather look better in real life?
I'm the wrong person to ask because I look good in both. But ask someone else, Jay. You'll get a good answer.
No, that's the way I feel. I feel like Max. That guys doesn't apply to me.
Doesn't it?
I look good. Ego's a hell of a drug, you two. Let's go. Let's moving on. It's not ego. It's
reality.
No, I just look great all the time. I mean, it's the truth.
Here's the funny thing about football and sports radio in general. You know how people are, oh, why you talk about the games? Why did you talk about the game, right? No, there is no game right now in the NFL, but
there's a game. There's a game.
You know what?
Why don't you talk about the game?
Right? Don't you hear that a lot? Like, oh, there's not a sports talk radio. You got to talk more about the games.
Well, that's only when you go into. It's only the NBA. Controversial things that people don't want to absorb and pay attention to. They want to gloss over it. They don't want to deal with it because it's too much tension.
There's some of that. I think a lot of it is this.
MVP voting? What?
Well, we're going to get into that, but a lot of it is this. The game itself is when you talk about the game, right? And when there's no game or when the game is over, what people are interested in is the characters. They want to know, like, who's involved, what makes them tick, what obstacle do they have to overcome, what are the forces aligned against them, et cetera, right? So right now, starting yesterday with the franchise tag deadline and put a clock on everything, what's going to happen with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, and, of course, the big one, Lamar Jackson. So what happened with Lamar Jackson? What is so funny, Jay?
Key whispering, what happened?
Key, I think he may have just lost the audio or something. He may have, yeah.
Oh, that's what happened. Oh.
Yeah, all right, we're trying to get him back. I have a few technical issues this morning. Jay's on the wrong side of me.
I don't know what's going on. I'm on this side. I was talking for 15 minutes.
The problem is on this side.
Nobody heard me. I got no lighting over here.
The problem is on this side is that when I turn this way, when they have the split screen, it looks like I'm looking away from you.
Which eye is, because I know that you had the issues with the eye.
Yes, I still have it.
Am I on the good side or the bad side?
You are on the good eye. Okay. The right eye is the good eye.
Good eye.
By the way, good is a relative term, but left is the detached retina eye.
50% is good for 50% is good, Max. You know?
It's not good.
It's better than nothing. It's better than
detached retina. I don't know. I don't recommend it to anybody. All right, listen. So the Ravens hit Lamar Jackson with the non-exclusive franchise tag yesterday, right at the deadline, 4 p.m. Yesterday, that's Tuesday afternoon Eastern, 4 p.m. Eastern. They hit him with a non-exclusive franchise tag. So what does that mean? That means that a team, he can behave like a free agent and that he can talk to any team he wants. Once that team, if and when they make him an offer, he can present that offer to the Ravens. The Ravens can either match it, and now he's a Raven, or they can say, go ahead, you can go to that other team, and the Ravens, in compensation, get 2 first-round picks. Is Key back?
Yeah. Yes, he's back. There he is.
So here, Key is Jamison Hensley, ESPN NFL Nation's Ravens reporter on Canty and Carlin. Listen to this.
I think the Ravens feel, by putting the non-exclusive tag on him, one, that they feel either their last offer is the best offer Lamar Jackson's going to get, or two, they're willing to match any offer out there for Lamar Jackson. And maybe the third option from all of this is, yes, if a team is willing to sign Lamar Jackson to an offer sheet, it's probably going to take more than 2 first-round picks. And under the non-exclusive tag, if the Ravens refuse to match the offer, all they would get would be 2 first-round picks as compensation. I don't think the Ravens would accept that as fair compensation for Lamar Jackson.
Well, unless the price tag on Lamar Jackson is such that they don't want to pay it, and then in exchange, okay, fine, we don't want to pay that, we'll take the 2 first, because they hit him with the non-exclusive tag. What are the Ravens telling Lamar by placing the non-exclusive tag on him? Yesterday on this very program, he and Jay had a debate. Like I sound like the Super Friends announcer. At the Hall of Justice. But on this very show, just yesterday, Key and Jay had a debate, which Key refuses to refer to as a debate. It has to be a conversation with differing points of view or something. Where, Jay, you were saying, actually, the non-exclusive franchise tag is telling Lamar, okay, we'll be fair with you. Go see what you can get. And Key's like, no, you do that. You're telling him you don't really want him. What are the Ravens telling Lamar by hitting with a non-exclusive tag, Ryan Clark?
Let's be clear. The NFLPA, I was part of the executive committee. They've sued the NFL for collusion before, and that was in the uncapped year. And if you believe that all these teams and executives and owners aren't upset with the deal that Deshaun Watson got in Cleveland, then you've absolutely lost your mind. And when Adam says that the team or that Baltimore has an idea of what the market can be, we know the combine is less about those dudes on the field and more about the conversations going on between traders and between free agents and having those conversations. And if you don't think that collusion is a part of this league and the league understands that we don't want to continue giving these guaranteed deals out, then you're absolutely out of your mind.
Hey, guys, let me just say, that cuts both ways. I totally agree with Ryan Clark 100%. But I also understand, like, if you think any player his agent doesn't have a good idea of what the marketplace is going to be before he's a free agent, before he's allowed to talk to other teams, you think he hasn't done some reconnaissance and had some conversations, key offline? Come on, man. Like, what are we, babies? That's the way it works. That's the way the world works. Just think about human nature. I mean, I hear what Ryan Clark is saying, and to me, it looks like, oh, wait a minute. These guys have been in communication. What's it look like to you, Key?
I hate to use the word collusion, but Ryan Clark is right. I mean, it just feels like there's something other than doing the right thing by the teams. It just feels that way, because here's a guy who's everybody points to MVP. I don't care about the MVP. That was 5 years ago. I don't care about that. Whatever it was, 4 years ago. I don't care. I care about the talent that's on the field. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. He's one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the National Football League. He's one of the top 2 to 3 players in the National Football League. And for him to have to go through this to try to get his money,